My name is Philemon Dawud Tom. Today I just want to talk about the political crisis in our country and the hope we have as South Sudanese to live in peace in our country. December 15 was one of the tragic history in our life when the government begin to campaign and track down and kill the innocent civilians that has no any political affiliations or political backgrounds, and they were murdered simply because they're from certain ethnic background, and that is the tragic. All of us are grieving and trying to find a better options that we can bring the solution to the crisis in our country. I think December 15, 2013 is a test for all of us South Sudanese, and it's a test for our national responsibility as citizens of South Sudan. The leadership of our nation, they failed to protect the people of South Sudan. They failed to bring the real institution that can address the needs of the people of South Sudan. And as a result, they begin to implement the tribal laws that cannot address the problems of South Sudan. When you look now in South Sudan, there is no any better life in South Sudan now. People are living in a hopeless life, and they are yearning for peace, and they are yearning for better life, and so that they can carry on with their own routine life in South Sudan. So as we celebrating this third anniversary of the genocide that was happened in 2013 and continues to happen now in South Sudan, we have to think the strategies that we can do it as South Sudanese to have reforms in our country. The leadership of South Sudan, they fail completely, and they will not bring the lasting peace that people of South Sudan are looking for. Why I'm saying this, I am one of the people who is very skeptical about the policy of our government and the leadership style that the government is doing now in our country. I think it's not going to bring solution to our problems. The South Sudanese people, they always hoping for better life. They always need a leader that can introduce nationalism so that we can protect our national identity, that can be able to transform into a national development. Most of the people of South Sudan, they're hoping that life, but that life cannot happen because the system that our leaders are implementing now is all about themselves. Tribalism is one of the bigger challenges that we are facing in our country. And the leaders, including the president, they claim to be liberators. And to be a liberators or to be a liberator, when you don't know the reason why you want to liberate, I think it is a tragic by itself. I think if you know the reason for liberation, then you will be able to implement the principles, and then principles and vision and goals why you decided to liberate the country. The President Kiir, I think he lost the control of his leadership. He no longer a president. He just a symbol. And he's no longer controlling anybody in South Sudan. Look at the crisis. Security has become a bigger challenge, you see, for South Sudanese in their own country. Corruption is everywhere. Tribalism has become the policy. And then people become refugees in their own country. So I don't know what President Kiir is doing. Does he aware about this? Or he just ignore because he don't understand why he become a president? So those are the questions that we are asking. Second to that, he talked about peace. Peace cannot last when there is an absence of justice. Justice must be first. And if people did not held accountable, then that peace will collapse and it will not last long. And that is what we are seeing now. People want to abandon justice and then talks about peace. Peace will not last. First, we need to hold our leaders accountable for what they brought into South Sudan. And we need all leaders, including President Kiir, must be questioned by justice. Why they murder the citizen that has no any political background, and why they kill people simply because they are from different ethnicities. So those are the questions that should be asked. If we begin to hold leaders accountable through justice, then nobody can think of coming and control people and implement the wrong laws. Everybody will afraid to do a better job so that he cannot be held accountable. But in South Sudan, the issue of accountability has become a different thing. So they want to jump, or they want to abandon justice and then continues doing their own way of killing and randomly ignoring people. And that is the big problems. So now last week or last Friday, the president talks about the national dialogue. I don't know if he understands what he's talking about. National dialogue will never happen when there is no trust. The people of South Sudan, they are living in fear. They are not trusting their own government. They are no longer trusting Kiir leadership. They see the government as their enemy. And how can you begin the national dialogue when the citizens lost trust? I think that's the problem that I can see. I don't know if the government is seeing or not. I don't know. So first we need to question why the peace agreement collapsed. Because there was hope when Dr. Riek Machar signed the peace agreement with the government, and people of South Sudan begin to work for reconciliation and forgiveness. But the conspiracy that the government done, it totally collapsed the hope that people of South Sudan has. So we need first justice, and then the peace will follow. And that is the hope we have. And I hope the government of South Sudan, they have to realize this. They have to realize this. Without justice, I don't think so peace will come to South Sudan. And the last thing is the hate speech that is going on in social media. So the government is completely out of control. They will never, unless there has to be a total reform in the system, then maybe people of South Sudan begin to talk about peace and reconciliation and reforms. So those are the things I can see, and I hope reforms is the only option and justice is the only option. And we have to make sure December 15 never happen again, because we lost our brothers and sisters simply because they are from a different ethnic group. And that is the problems, and I hope God will bring peace in our country